Wireless mice have been a huge thing in the gaming mice community. A mouse in particular that always stands out and people bring up time and time again is the Logitech G Pro Wireless. Even with the mouse being 2 years old, people still praise its shape and it's a highly sought after mouse. Heck, it still even goes for $150 and rarely goes on sale here in the US. But what if I told you there's a cheap alternative wireless mouse that costs a fraction of the price of the G Pro Wireless and its shape is really, and I mean really similar to it? Well, today I'll be giving you my personal review on the Ajazz i305 Pro and why I think this mouse is good for not only its shape but also its price. Before I get started, I would like to ask you guys to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. With that being said, let's begin. The Ajazz i305 is a wireless ambidextrous mouse for right-handed users. Its dimensions are 125mm in length, 64mm in width, and it's 40mm at its highest point. Now compared to the G Pro Wireless, which dimensions are 125mm in length, 63.5mm in width, and 40mm at its highest point, we can see they are very similar. The only major difference will be in weight. The G Pro Wireless is 80 grams, while the Ajazz is 111 grams. Now, yes, I know this isn't a lightweight mouse, but even with the mouse being 111 grams, I still found it enjoyable and the weight really didn't affect my accuracy a whole lot. Now, while I do prefer lightweight mice, I will say heavy mice are not as bad as most people think, especially when the shape is a good one. Another thing to mention is at the front of the mouse, we can see it uses USB Type-C to charge the mouse, which is a huge plus as micro USB or any other type of USB type cable is just outdated for charging in my opinion. On the top of the mouse, we see it has two DPI buttons in which you can raise the DPI or lower it. Now I tried finding what type of switches the mouse uses, but there's very little info online about the mouse. Here's a quick sound test. The scroll wheel is silent and has rubber texture. One thing I really like about the mouse is that its build quality is actually really good. There's no rattle, no side flicks or creaking on the mouse. The only thing it does have is very little mouse 1 and 2 wobble, but it's really not bad. Oh, and before I forget, the mouse does have 3 side buttons. This is something I thought was a little weird as the middle button is programmed to shoot twice when playing FPS games. I ended up changing the middle button to the mouse 3 side button as the far left side button was just too far for me to reach with my thumb. It was an issue for me, but it may not be an issue for you. Now, one thing I do want to point out is the coating of the mouse just feels cheap. It also leaves a lot of fingerprint stains, which I know some of you out there hate. And it kind of reminds me of the first gen XM1's coating. Moving to the bottom of the mouse, we see the mouse uses regular Teflon mouse feet. They are quite thin and are okay. They get the job done, but that's about it. Also on the bottom, we have the sensor, which is a PAW3338 sensor, which in my opinion is meh, as sometimes while I was gaming, it will give me some spin out problems. I'll talk more about that later in the video. A quick mention is the battery life on this mouse is quite decent. I have used this mouse on and off for the past 3 weeks for about 1 hour or a minimum of 30 minutes every day, and I have only charged it once. So it's safe to say the battery on this is pretty good, no complaints. Now, this is the part where I talk about the issues I encountered with the mouse. So I've been having this mouse for about 3 weeks now. I first downloaded the software for the i305 to change the functions of the side buttons. However, since I had a lot of mice software from previous reviews, I went and deleted the mouse software for the Ajazz i305 Pro by accident. So I went to Amazon to see if I could re-download the software using the provided link on the store page. Well, it turns out the link is not for the Ajazz mouse and instead redirects you to a keyboard manual. So I looked through my recycling bin to try to find the software and I couldn't find it there either. Yeah, this was really unfortunate for me. So when it comes to software, I really can't provide many details on that. I would have loved to show you guys, but it's literally impossible to find any links online to the actual software for the Ajazz i305 Pro. So in this case, I will have to skip out on this segment. Sorry guys. I will say this, I tried changing the pulling rate to see if that would help with the spin out issue I had with the mouse, but that didn't fix it. Moving on to my experience with the mouse, the Ajazz i305 was actually decent. Now my only real complaint about the mouse would have to be the sensor, as every time I would pick up my mouse up to reset, it would have a horrible lift-off distance issues and it would feel like it would spin out on me. It is worse than the Viper Mini, which many had issues with. Yeah, the sensor is where Ajazz really cheaped out on, and it's a shame too, because if the mouse would have had a better sensor, I really feel like this mouse would have been a diamond in the dirt. With that being said, you can game with the mouse. In fact, I did pretty good in Apex Legends. I even did decent damage and won a match with it. All in all, the Ajazz i305 Pro surprised me with its comfortable shape, size, and most importantly, its value. No, the Ajazz i305 isn't 80 grams and it doesn't have the best sensor, but for 36 bucks, you really can't knock it. It still has the G Pro Wireless shape we all know and love, it's wireless, rechargeable, and costs way less than the G Pro Wireless. This mouse is great for those looking for a cheap budget secondary mouse, emphasis on secondary, or for those who want the closest experience to a G Pro Wireless as possible without having to break the bank. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more content like this. This is Carlos from Unplugged, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.